Gabriel Kidd will not be at Terminus 2 due to injury. Robbie X returns to in-ring action for Rev Pro UK at No Escape 2022. The United Empire have been announced for unfinished business on the 1st of May. Cara Noir and Ilja Dragunov are set to face off at Progress, the 10th anniversary show. Emersyn Jayne and Jetta will settle the score for the Pro Wrestling Eve Championship at Women Behaving Badly in Pro Wrestling Eve's first ever Iron Woman match. Big Guns Joe will challenge Charles Crowley for the Carnival Champion title at Wrestle Carnival's showcase during the WXW 16 Carat Gold Weekend. And Mariah May has had her first matchup announced for her tour in America. Hello and welcome to Tea and Tights, a Great British Wrestling podcast for Great British Wrestling as featured on bodyslam.net, brought to you by Powered 4 TV. I'm your host, the Great British Tattoo, Mr. Andrew Moore, and eating the most. I'm joined as always by the co-host. He is Big Daddy Daniel Allen. How are we doing?
I am so happy to have you back, Andy. I've managed to do 2 interviews without you over the last week, and I'm not going to lie, I missed you. I missed you, buddy.
Oh, good to hear. I did watch the interviews. They are awesome interviews. Those interviews are available on our Body Slam channel as well as our own Spotify network. You can also catch it on the Jonas Podcasting Network and many, many other places. We are, of course, here to talk about loads and loads of British wrestling. You, of course, did have those interviews. Tommy Kyle, the Top Gun of British wrestling. How was that?
That was really good. Tommy and I had a great discussion about him coming up, comparing teaching and wrestling. We discussed the Young Guns and the incredible tag team work they've been doing and his previous training sessions that he's had with them. We talked about the future. We talked about Jurassic Pro and how good they are. We just had a really good chat, and I do recommend people have a listen. It's only 40 minutes. It's a nice, easy listen and well worth giving a chat with Tommy a go.
Indeed. And then, of course, you had a Lawrence Prestige of the booker for Phenomenal Elite Wrestling, PEW. Where you previewed the upcoming card, Brave New World.
Yeah, what an upcoming card it is with so many great matches. We discussed all of the matches and nearly everybody. I may have missed one wrestler that I didn't discuss, and I am going to mention him now. I will give a shout out right now to Mr. Jason Joshua. You are an amazing, fantastic wrestler. I'm sure you will do very well in the 4-way match. And yes, I did miss out. I do apologise. We discussed the issues they've had with bookings and unfortunately with people having to pull out due to illnesses, due to injuries, due to going to America. At the moment, their women's match, which looks amazing, is Rio versus Lucia Lee. And it was meant to be versus Hannah Taylor, but obviously Hannah Taylor is now off injured as well. All the best to Hannah. So we should be interested to see who they announce to be the third person in this match.
Yeah, it does look like a fantastic card. Of course, you got the several singles matches that lead to the men's championship match as well, including the likes of Warren Banks, Just Joe Lando, Dexter, Sheik El Sharma, so many others. And as you say, that amazing fatal 4-way that features Just Joe Lando, Danny Black, Hood, and Big Daddy Unicorn, Jason Joshua. Because I know the truth, right? I know that you left him off on purpose because you were just super jealous of the fact that he has a far better Big Daddy moniker.
Possibly.
I mean, Big Daddy Dan, Big Daddy Unicorn. I'm sorry, but he does win. Big Daddy Unicorn. It just sounds...
Well, we have agreed to meet up at the PEW show, so I shall have a chat with him face-to-face there and hopefully get to share it with you guys on Twitter.
And find out who is the biggest daddy. Because we got a huge show again, loads of big wrestling news, plenty of reviews as well. North Wrestling, NCL Discovery Wrestling, NXT UK, ICW, Progress Wrestling, and British Wrestling Revolution. Several previews to go through, some great upcoming shows for this weekend, and just a further roundup of the British scene. And got some European news, as always, a little bit of a dash. But I think we'll get started. Indeed. We'll start off with news. Obviously, Gabriel Kidd is out injured now, and he will not be at the upcoming Terminus 2. I believe Leo Rush is also out of the card. It looks like it would have been a fantastic card. He was due to face Davey Richards. Now, of course, he was pulled from NJPW Rivals due to some issues. So we're not going to go into too many details, as there is very much an ongoing issue between two people. And it is a legal matter between two people, as far as I'm still aware that it is still a legal matter, and fully support Mariah May in anything that she is going through right now. But he was in action just yesterday against Fred Rosser for the New Japan Strong tapings. It was supposed to be an absolutely fantastic match, but it seems that he did pick up an injury and will be out of the Terminus card, which is a bit of a shame because it would have been a great match. But moving on swiftly, Rev Pro UK, a man is making his return. He is the innovator of excellence, Robbie X. I once thought he was Scottish because he wore a blue mask with a white cross on it, but he was not. He is a Lancashire. He is in the best shape of his life. He has been currently out injured, and he is going to be returning at the St. Neots show. St. Neots show on the 27th of February.
I was going to say, why are you going American on me?
Well, isn't because when we went to that show, I can never remember her name, and I really do apologize, but the announcer at Rev Pro UK did pronounce it St. Neots rather than St. Neots. And I thought, yes, I'm going to pronounce it as St. Neots. But he has his pick of opponent for his return matches has been granted to him by the Rev Pro UK management, Mr. Andy Quilden. It'll be interesting to see if he does pick the driller, Dan Maloney, because they have been having a rivalry, and they probably would have faced at high stakes had Robbie X not got injured, because Callum Newman had that incredible match with Dan Maloney.
Out of all the people I could pick to have a match with, Dan Maloney would not be near the top.
No, but you're not Robbie X.
This is very true.
You're not the Big Daddy Unicorn either.
Oh, this is going to be a long show.
It is. I'm going to poke fun at you all day for this one. Thank you very much, Jason Joshua. And Rev Pro UK have also announced they will be returning to Sheffield. This is unfinished business on the 1st of May. Of course, the United Empires, Will Ospreay and Aussie Open are both, or all three, are set to be heavily featured in Sheffield.
Progress Wrestling. Progress have announced that Cara Noir and Ilja Dragunov will face off at the 10th anniversary show at the Garage in London. Ilja made a surprise return to confront Cara Noir following his main event match against Dean Allmark at Progress Chapter 128 Technique,
which I'll be talking about a little bit later in the reviews.
Progress have also confirmed that Warren Banks will challenge for the Progress Championship at the 10th anniversary after he won the number one contenders match, also at Chapter 127. Now, Cara Noir will defend his champion against Swerve, defend his championship against Swerve the Realist at Chapter 129. I choose you today.
Yes, he did, and he successfully retained the title. I can tell you. So this is a very interesting situation because Ilja will face Cara Noir at the 10th anniversary show at the garage. But Progress will also honor Warren Banks's #1 contendership, which he won and cashed in. So he did cash this in. He said, I want this match at the garage at the 10th anniversary show. So is Noir pulling double duty?
Is Ilja pulling double duty?
Is Ilja pulling? Is it going to be a triple threat?
So many options for Progress to take this, and I'm excited for it.
I am, but yeah, it's definitely it's got me on the edge because I'm like, well, where are they going to go with this? And of course, apparently at today's show, following the match, Cara Noir was confronted by ROH World Champion Jonathan Gresham, just to throw another spanner into the works. Bit of breaking news there, but yeah, Gresham is also now obviously in the hunt for a match with Cara Noir. Now I think there is one more match, one more event before the 10th anniversary. When did I put the date down for the 10th anniversary?
You did not, no.
I did not. How did I forget to do that? That's terrible.
Do I do a small dance routine while we're Googling? Does that keep people entertained?
Just keep people entertained. This is, of course, it's all going to be about.
I'm glad he's no good at editing, otherwise he'd end up looping that.
Yeah. Come on, I can clip it and still loop it. Where is the date?
Well, I reckon having
it's
Warren
on the
Banks
25th of March.
I reckon having Warren Banks in there could be a good choice, because you could have Ilja Dragunov win against Cara Noir, but then lose against Warren Banks, so as to not have to take the belt.
Okay, so on the 20th of March is Chapter 130, Dodge, Dip, Duck, Dive, Dodge. The 5 Ds of dodgeball. Then on the 22nd of March, there is Who Run the World. Then on the 23rd of March is Everything Patterned London. And then on the 10th of March is Chapter 131, 10th anniversary show on the 25th of March.
Now, we haven't actually featured this in the news, have we? Everything Patterned and Who Runs the World?
Yes, no, because Who Runs the World is going to be an all-women show, but what was Everything Pattern going to be?
It's going to be an all-BAME show.
A what?
All BAME, Black and minority ethnic wrestlers.
Okay, so that's why they're not going to be on the full chapter. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
It was previously done, the Everything Pattern show was previously done last year, arranged by Roy Johnson, I think. I will need to Google it. But yes, sorry, I thought this would be part of our news thing, and I am very, very excited to see it happening.
Looking forward to seeing, hopefully we'll see some new faces. Be interesting to see which new faces and who. Leon Slater would be a great young pick if they wanted to bring somebody in up from up north. Yeah,
it's Roy Johnson that sorted it.
Yeah, be interesting. I think we should. I think we should book these next week.
Cool.
I think we should fantasy book Progress's all women's show and Progress's BAME show. Not using our fantasy rosters, obviously. We'll pick from the entire range of the UK. We'll set this out and we'll put that into motion. We'll put a limit on maybe international talent.
Yep.
I think he's doing it with something
in collaboration with the Arts Council of Great Britain.
That's fantastic. It's really good to see Progress supporting community issues like this, and it's fantastic to see a promotion as big as Progress really pick this up and try and run with it. So big up Roy Johnson. Fantastic for Progress Wrestling. Yes, you're right. It should have really been part of the main news. And next week, we will fantasy book our own all-women's show and our own BAME show. Oh, super. Let's go on to TNT Extreme Wrestling over in Liverpool, because they've announced 2 more huge championship matches for their upcoming show, Thrill Kill, on the 10th of March.
I'm looking forward to this show.
Go on, I'll let you go for give me the first. What was the Ultra X Championship match coming up then?
Scotty Rourke is going to have the biggest matchup of his young career as he is set to defend his Ultra X Championships against Mark Haskins.
Something Haskins and Rourke have been out campaigning for on both sides of it. Champion wanting that challenger and wanting it to be Haskins. Haskins, of course, looking to make his mark since his full return into the British independent scene. There's also going to be a huge tag team match. The Kings of the North, Bonesaw and Damien Corvin, they will be in action. They will be defending their TNT Extreme Tag Team titles against the tag team of Manlike Doris and Jody Fleisch. Manlike Doris and Jody Fleisch. That's a cool team.
That is a great team.
It's a cool team. I don't think we saw them in a 6-man. They had Dan Maloney as well at Progress, but I don't think I've ever seen them team just the 2 of them. I like that team, Doris and Fleisch, because Doris is very, very athletic, got that high flying style. He's also a hybrid athlete. He's very powerful, much like Jody Fleisch. I think he's the perfect mentor for someone like Doris. So should be a very exciting match.
Yeah. As well as that, the Liver Birds, Angel Hayes and Lizzie Evo, will also be at Thrill Kill.
No doubt looking to call out the She-Wolves, Molly Spartan and Casey.
Well, unfortunately, Casey is injured at the moment, which is why, as you will find out in my ICW review, at ICW Square One, it will be Angel Hayes versus Molly Spartan versus Lizzie Evo.
Yeah, it's really cool. So Pro Wrestling Eve, talking about some women's wrestling. Jetta will be defending the Pro Wrestling Eve Championship against the challenger, Emersyn Jayne. And for the first time ever in a Pro Wrestling Eve show, it will be a 13-minute Iron Woman match. This will be at Women Behaving Badly on the 4th of March, which is, of course, International Women's Day. At current, both women have a victory over the other. So this multi-fall matchup could finally put an end to that rivalry. Good match.
Yeah, definitely. Both women more than capable of going for 30 minutes at a fast pace. So this will be well worth watching.
Yeah, Emersyn Jayne, extremely technical, brilliant wrestler, hard-hitting, Jetta, a legend, veteran. She's awesome. Also, they've released the full card for this show. So it is the Uprising Rhea O'Reilly versus Rhea O'Reilly and Sky Smithson versus the Hex, Marty Bell and Sienna, of course, the NWA Women's Tag Team Champions. Laurie DiMatteo versus the Ava, I say white. Charlie Morgan versus Hyann. Charlie Evans versus Rio. And I see Evans making her return after a recent injury. Max the Impaler versus Clementine. Alex Windsor versus Lizzie Evo. And Nina Samuels versus Amelia McKenzie. That is a solid card. Have you seen the video from Clementine about her upcoming match with Max the Impaler.
I have seen the video from Clementine and it's wonderful and everyone's saying how good it is, and I highly recommend that everyone goes on Twitter, follows Clementine and watch that video.
Yes, some great acting shots there from Clementine. Really shows some great emotion about. It was fun as well, playful in the beginning, and then there was and Max the Impaler. Have you ever seen her?
I have not.
Terrifying. Her
promo shot looks it.
Yes, she is absolutely terrifying. I think it's Day. Sorry, so Day are absolutely terrifying. Max the Impaler, she is very powerful, she's strong, and she will destroy most people, most women she comes in path with.
I'm also 90% sure that it's been announced that Nina Samuels versus Amelia McKenzie is going to be a dark match for the fans in attendance only.
Ooh, that'll be nice for the fans. And then, of course, the first half of the show will be available free on their YouTube as usual, with the second half available via their on-demand service. They've got more action on the 5th of March, which is Bash at the Brewery, and it will be Alex Windsor's turn to face Max the Impaler. Plus, we will finally get the reunion of Mackenzie and Charlize Evans as the Medusa Complex, and the Hex, Sienna and Marley Bell will still be around as well. So maybe we'll see the Hex versus the Medusa Complex.
Fingers crossed, that would be awesome.
Be a great match. Yeah, great show. Definitely Pro Wrestling League, one of the best, probably the best all-women's promotion in the UK and Europe, and one of the premier ones across the world, if we're being honest.
Definitely. And that is why they have such strong international support.
Indeed.
Speaking of international, Wrestle Carnival and WXW Germany. WXW Germany are having their showcase, and Wrestle Carnival have announced who is going to challenge Mr. Charles Crowley for the title as part of the Wrestle Carnival showcase. It is going to be Big Guns Joe.
Yeah, all part of WXW Germany's huge WXW 16 Carat Weekend. They always have an international promotion showcase, which is on the 5th of March, which is the second day. I believe it is a morning show. Hopefully it is available via their networks or free via YouTube. But yeah, Big Guns Joe gets to take on the Carnival Twat himself for the Carnival Champion. He should be a really great match and a great opportunity for both parties to be part of this, and Wrestle Carnival, of course.
And this isn't Wrestle Carnival's only big news this week, is it?
No, they did also announce that they've got an agreement with PWI, that's Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and this will be to provide exclusive digital content that will be viewable across all of the PWI social network for free. Oh, I wonder if the preview shows will end up going on there. We'll be on PWI.
We're getting everywhere. Joseph Connor's first in-ring appearance for Wrestle Carnival will now be at Mardi Gras on the 26th of March in Nottingham, as he takes on up-and-rising young superstar, also from Nottingham, Riley Nova.
Yeah, good opportunity for the young lad, Riley Nova. Of course, Joseph Connor gave a very impassioned speech at their Carnival of Champions show, which is available on their Patreon, so go check that out. It was an incredible show. But yeah, seems like a great opportunity for them. Carrying on with a bit more Wrestle Carnival, to be honest, and a little bit of No Mercy Wrestling. No Mercy Wrestling have announced that Strike First, Strike Hard, somebody loves Cobra Kai, on the 19th of March in Caerphilly, Wales. Alex Windsor will be defending her Queen of the Carnival Championship in a triple threat against Lucia Lee and Cara.
Nice. It's always great to see how Wrestle Carnival work with other promotions, and that's where it should be. Promote yourself, promote others, and make sure that everyone gets to see the best in Brit Wres.
Yeah, indeed. So, I mean, that is, two Wrestle Carnival title defenses that won't be taking place at a Wrestle Carnival show. And as you say, Gary Ward is always on the ball, trying to work with other companies, trying to make sure they don't run shows at the same time. And I think that's a really good gesture. And it's good to see British wrestling promotions working together. Let's build a federation, lads.
Mariah May has been announced for Battleground Championship Wrestling. Her first match in America is going to be against Impact star Lady Frost at Battleground Championship Wrestling's When Worlds Collide on the 26th of March in Philadelphia. Good luck, Mariah May.
Yeah, have you seen much Lady Frost?
I've seen a couple of matches, yeah.
Got a fantastic moonsault. She recently competed against Giselle Shaw on a recent Impact show. Very, very accomplished competitor. So great first match for Mariah May. And you guys out there in America that may be listening to our podcast, you are in for a treat. We just ask one simple thing. Please let us have her back.
Please.
Because this guy, I mean, she is destined for superstardom. We did mention the thing at the top of the show. I'm going to try and it's something hopefully that she can put behind her and continue. She's been fantastic as the Glamour. I've loved her work as the Dream Dolls with Zoe Lucas. So good for her. Off she goes to the States. I think that would actually rule her out of possibly being an opportunity for Who Run the World. Oh no, 26th of March, 22nd of March. So she could still compete. We'll allow her on R1 anyway. She doesn't leave from, we'll pretend she hasn't left for America yet. We get to use her one last time. She gets to make her Progress debut.
Excellent.
That would be so deserving of the incredible young woman. Let's talk about some reviews, because I watched a lot of wrestling because, as Dan said, I missed a couple of interviews. The reason I missed a couple of interviews is because I was very, very ill on the day of the first interview. Thankfully feeling better the day after, but unfortunately my body although I wasn't feeling sick anymore, my chest felt like it was crushing me. So anytime I laughed, tried to shout at the dog, it would cause immeasurable pain. I did recover just in time to make an appearance on the bodyslam.net Game Changer Wrestling show, their Game Changer Weekly podcast, where I bigged up TNT Extreme Wrestling ahead of a lot of the GCW TNT Extreme Wrestling. And it was a lot of fun. You should also go check that out on the Body Slam YouTube. It was myself and James, who was on the show just a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, on to some wrestling. North Wrestling in particular. North Wrestling NCL. Newcastle, out of the brewery in the Anarchy Brewery in Newcastle. So there were a lot of changes to this card last minute. As Dan mentioned, it's a headache for a lot of promoters right now. COVID is still around. People still do get COVID. It seems like there was some sort of stomach bug going around as well, so people do suffer from that as well. And there were other certain things, but the opening match, which was originally supposed to be Shreddy versus Crash Boat's Jack Bandicoot, but then it turned into a handicap match with Shreddy versus both members of Crash Boat. But then he decided he was going to have a tag team partner in Molly Spartan, at which point Rebecca Resner took exception to this. So she made her full North Wrestling debut, and wasn't going to let Molly Spartan bully her boys about. But Molly Spartan had also brought a fence. So out came Joe Hendry. So it ended up being a six-man tag of Shreddy, Joe Hendry, and Molly Spartan. And I tell you what, if Joe Hendry and Shreddy got their act together and wanted to be a great tag team, two big old beefy boys. Biggest tag team in the UK, almost, maybe.
They'd almost make Synergy look small.
Well, pure beef.
Pure beef, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be incredible. There's a great match coming up with Pure Beef and Synergy. We'll talk about it just a little while. But as I say, this was a lot of fun. Rebecca Resner showed what she could do against the big Molly Spartan. She certainly didn't let Molly Spartan bully her around. But it was Shreddy and Joe Hendry came away with the win. I love Jack Bandicoot. He's bloody amazing. He gets such sympathy, and old Jake Silver can make a great little hot tag, and he's cheering Bandicoot on the sidelines. But as I say, if Shreddy and Hendry could get their act together, they could be one very, very formidable tag teams. Next up was Rio versus Charlie Morgan. And, well, what can I say? It was very, very good. Two extremely talented women. Charlie Morgan has been one of the most underrated talents for so long. Always seemed to be on the periphery of the big companies. Very well used in pro wrestling Eve, but not particularly pushed to the top in companies like Progress or others. She had run NXT UK as well. A great match. There was one little issue that shows you how dangerous wrestling is. She went for a no-hands moonsault. Unfortunately, didn't get a rotation and literally just went headfirst into Rio as just kind of almost like a springboard backwards headbutt. Is what it kind of turned into. But both women, completely professional, were able to recover very well. Although you could still definitely see both women were very dazed from the head collision, but both women were fine at the end of the match, and they did an absolutely fantastic job. Round of applause to the girls. And next was a man like Darius. He needed a tag team partner because he'd lost his tag team partner. So he saw somebody in the pre-show. He saw Leon Slater compete, so he decided to bring Leon Slater in as his tag team partner to take on the team of Kid Lycos and Gene Money. Gene Money has been on a losing streak with North Wrestling, so he's looking towards Kid Lycos to teach him how to be a dirty heel, which provided many entertaining moments throughout the match. But it was Leon Slater who stole the plaudits of this match. He literally tore the roof down. Almost. He tore the roof half down when he knocked when he first did went for a 450 and hit his legs on the lights, and ended up coming down with a double leg drop rather than a 450, almost brought the lights down there. But as him and Man like the Reese were celebrating, they both did backflips. That also caused him to take down the lights. That man's got a vertical leap like nobody's business. So when I say he literally tore down the roof, yes, he did literally tear down the roof. But it was an incredible match. Next up, Rory Coyle came out. It was supposed to be a triple threat between him, Liam Slater, and Joseph Connors. Of course, Joseph Connors had pulled out of the show due to the dreaded COVID. So Rory Coyle was like, no, I'm not competing against Liam Slater in a singles match. I was booked for a triple threat match, and I'm only going to wrestle in a triple threat match. That led Will Cruz come out to the match. Of course, the only reason Rory Coyle wanted it to be a triple threat match is because Rory Coyle, he likes it when there's no rules. So it turned into a bit of a hardcore match. It was still a good match. Rory Coyle tied Liam Slater to the post using gaffer tape and hit a big move on Will Cruz and picked up the win. It was okay. Gia Adams versus Lizzie Evo knocked 2 tons of crap out of each other. The fans were absolutely loving this. Big big Gia Adams fan. She's kind of a local girl over in Washington. So they've taken her in at Newcastle, one of her own. She is the representative of the North NCL Women's Division, is Gia Adams. Lizzie even got into it with Gia Adams' mum, and Gia Adams' mum slapped the taste out of her mouth, which led to a chant of Gia Adams' mum, Gia Adams' mum. And Gia Adams then eventually came away with a big win over Lizzie Evo. Then it was the arrival of the pansexual princess, Commander Sterling. So I knew he was going to be on the show. I knew they were going to be on the show. I wasn't sure what to expect from them. I'm not a huge character fan. I'm not big of, say, the Orange Cassidys of this world.
We know you're a grumpy old man. I
think Danhausen's entertaining, but I think he's entertaining at least. Marco Stunk, and but you know what? They were very entertaining. They have a lot of presence. They have a lot of theatrics. They had the North eating out of their palm. Commander Sterling was absolutely fantastic. And then out came Theo Knox. Boo, Tory, boo. And along came HD Drake. That then brought out the opponents that they were facing of Big Lou Nixon versus Connor Renshaw in a tag team match. Eventually, thanks to a little help from the Commander themselves, the pansexual princess, the Commander Sterling helped, whilst Big Lou Nixon and Connor Renshaw picked up the win. They then got a little bit more punishment for Theo Knox, and the crowd were very, very entertained by it all. So you know what? It's going to get a thumbs up. It is. I'm going to be not so much of my usual grumpy self. I'm going to say, to be honest, it was entertaining, and the North crowd absolutely ate it up. Next up was Gabriel Kidd versus Mark Haskins in the main event, which the North wrestling crowd were again ravenous for. They absolutely wanted this match, and they got the exact matchup they wanted, as Haskins and Kidd absolutely blistered each other to dueling chants of "Let's go Haskins, Gabriel Kidd," and many, many more chants, and occasional boos to Kidd, occasional boos for Haskins. Crowd was very split, and it was an absolutely banger of a match. Truly, I can't understand how better than his Yota Tsuji match, yes. Not as good as his Francisco Akira match, no. Better than his match with RKJ, though. So out of the 4 matches during Gabriel Kidd's tour of the UK, of which I saw, it would rank number 2 in a very, very, very good match. Absolutely loved this show. As I say, North Faithful really help make every show. The crowd at North are so they're not a cult. They're a faithful, is what they are, as they always say. But really, really good show. I can't understate it. I'm going to give this show, let's have a look, see, let's go down it. I'm going to give it 3.5.
Oh, that's a good game.
Okay, it was a very good show. I watched Discovery Wrestling. Oh, sorry. North Wrestling, of course, is available via their Patreon, which is £4. You will be able to see it on delay via IWTV as well. Right. Discovery Wrestling, which is free on YouTube. Big Damo took on Gene Money in a big beefy bash in which they beefed and bashed, and eventually Damo came away with the win. Solid match. Caleb Valhalla picked up a win in a fatal four-way match. That was against Alistair Caron, Deacon Matthews, and Griffin, who none of these guys I'm aware of. I've seen Caleb Valhalla. He's a big lad. He's got a good look. Probably has a decent future.
He's been featured on ICW a few times.
Indeed. Usually in the jobber role at the moment, isn't he? In the enhancement role for big guys.
He was brought in as a beatdown for somebody recently.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. So, okay, but Theodorus versus Jack Morris. Doris and Morris put on a fantastic show, and it wasn't Morris dancing, it was wrestling. It was a great match. Dickie Divers was on the outside causing interference, but this did not matter. Theodorus still came along with big win following the elbow from Olympus. Solid match. Casey then defeated Session Moth Martina and Emersyn Jayne in a triple threat match, becoming the Discovery Women's Champion at the same time. So this is obviously prior to her injury, this show. Mark Haskins defeated Ian Skinner in a match that I absolutely ate up. Just watching, just focus, just watching just these two technical, brilliant wrestlers. This veteran, this superstar, helping this young superstar in the making, somebody who very much fit that mold of what Haskins and Ridgway had set before. And big fan of Ian Skinner. I know you're a big listener as well. So this was a great match. I absolutely loved it. Of course I did. It was Ian Skinner versus Mark Haskins. Anyway, the Kings of the North then defeated Just Us, which is BT Gunn and Stevie Boy. Kings of the North were using a few dirty tactics along the way to pick up the win there. Then it was the main event of the night, as Big Joe Hendry, the answer, defended his Y Division Championship against Andy Wild. Two big, beefy boys, beefed and boyed. Yeah, they great wrestling from Joe Hendry, fantastic mat work, great lockups, and some beautiful suplexes from the dad bod god, Andy Wild. This was just a great match overall. Overall, this was a fantastically solid show. This is available for free on YouTube, so I'm going to give it an extra half. I'm going to give it 3.5 as well. So there you go.
Awesome.
Why don't you tell us about NXT UK, Dan?
We started off with Sam Gradwell against Kenny Williams, but Kenny Williams came out on crutches, saying that he had a doctor's note and was going to be unable to compete. Luckily, Skid Scala was in the background at the doctor's office and said that this was not true. So the match went on, and it was a good match. Great roll-up pin by Gradwell for the win. But the referee seemed to be out of position when he did it. It took him ages to come round and make the pinfall count. Post-match, though, Williams beat down Gradwell with the crutches and cut off Gradwell's mohawk.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not upset that they'll have another match.
I don't know. Gradwell's better than Thing, and I feel like they're right. They've taken away his superpower. That stupid haircut of his.
Hey, mohawks are not stupid.
Here's one.
His is a bit unique, I'll give it that.
Very, very unique hair. You know, it helped him stand out. I don't know. It was so. I can't say I was too enthralled by this.
I enjoyed the match.
Yeah.
Gallus were then watching last week's video package of them interrupting the Supernova sessions, and Wolfgang was obviously very pissed off at what happened to him and the way he was treated by Jordan Devlin. Zaya Brookside was then interviewed backstage and was asked, did she think that she was a positive role model like Amel? Daddy's going to hear all about this. She was very annoyed that she was compared. And this is going to lead on to a match with Zaya Brookside versus...
It was her interview. Why did they have to bring up Amel? I'm fully behind Brit. You know, this was supposed to be her time, not Amel. Yeah, everyone keeps talking about Amel, but, you know, what about Zaya Brookside? She's got a famous dad, don't you know? Robbie Brookside was one of the best wrestlers in the... I'm finally behind Brookside again. Go Bray Brookside!
They then had a bad comedy skit with Dave Mastiff and Jack Stars. Now, I've been saying keep them away from microphones, and what have they done? They've given them more mic time. Mastiff made Stars earn his cut, his jacket. To start with, he had to do an hour of free squats, but Mastiff fell asleep, so he did 2 hours of free squats. Then he had to eat an entire sleeve of dry Weetabix. That's going to make sense for the Americans. And this made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. He wanted him to streak around the performance center. Now, I came across the exact same thought. Given speaking out, that is not the right thing to be encouraging in any shape or form. And I fully condemn that skit to the pits of hell where it bloody well belongs, alongside those stupid Gallus firms. Yeah, all in all, that was big crap. Gradwell was then backstage looking for Kenny Williams and couldn't find him. Angel Hayes then took on Amelia McKenzie. This was really good, particularly when Amelia put on the headlock and held this headlock on Angel Hayes for a long time in so many different positions, keeping control. I just thought it was really, really well done. It looked great. And deadlift belly to back suplex looked really strong as well. In the end, the Quesadora was blocked and turned into a face buster with Amelia winning. Really good match. Great showing for Angel Hayes.
Yeah, and I'm going to mention because the next match, obviously, I like the fact that the match didn't finish via having to use the finishing move, and rather it just kind of came out of reversal. It's good to see. I think too many times. I think when you maybe in those type of matches, I think sometimes win the match with the signature move. That way, we might start to believe that you might actually win the match with your signature move, rather than you hitting your signature move and going, yeah, well, we know she never wins with that one. So,
like Shawn Michaels super kick.
Yeah, kind of like a Shawn Michaels super kick, exactly.
Andy Shepherd was then interviewing Nathan Fraser, who called out Ilja Dragunov. Match I'm happy to see.
Match I'm happy to see. Bit lame with the way they did it, though.
Yeah. De Familia then met up in their penthouse, but their loss will bring them closer together. Myla Grace then took on Stevie Turner. This has been Stevie Turner's best match so far, in my opinion. I think it's actually better than her match against Meiko Satomura because she actually got some offense in. There were flashes of what she's capable of. We know that Stevie Turner is amazing. She is a fantastic, fantastic wrestler. And there was really much more to see here. Turner won with what was pretty much a rock bottom.
Yeah, it was the side effect. That's the one.
Well done.
I must admit, I'm going to be a bit harsh on the side effect. They barely got off the background.
Yeah, she landed on a bum, not a back.
That was like Undertaker chokeslam in Hulk Hogan.
It was then announced we're going to have Meiko Satomura's Celebration Day next week. Oh, good. Yeah. Mustache Mountain then had a video promo with Smith and Carter building up for their match. That's a match I'm looking forward to seeing. And it was a promo that was absolutely fine from both sets of guys, which for this show has actually been a bonus.
Yeah.
We then had Wolfgang versus Jordan Devlin. This was power versus speed. It focused on Wolfgang's shoulder. There was some awful editing here. Jordan Devlin got cut open on his forehead and was bleeding. And they obviously cut away, fixed him up, and then came back to the match because there was a real issue and jump between a move then going to the outside, and all of a sudden there was no blood whatsoever. I mean, yeah, it is what it is. Wolfgang's moonsaults are so smooth. For a big guy, he does them beautifully. And he hit a huge spear as well. Absolutely beautiful. Devlin hit the Spanish fly from the top rope, followed by a 450 for the win. Just because I'm calling him by his name as opposed to saying the wanker doesn't mean I respect him anymore. I'm just getting over myself. All in all, I think this was a very good match. Matches-wise, it was a great show, and I would give it 3.5 sugars.
I don't know why, but I feel like it only deserved 3.
Fair enough. It's probably the promos.
Maybe.
In fact, yeah, you know what? I'm going to take away half for that streaking thing, so I'm going to go down to a 3 as well.
So it's more than that. But you're lucky we're giving you 3 sugars. I'll put it that way. I don't know. It didn't quite land with me this week. It has them for a few weeks in a row where it's just been like, feels like it's just going through the motions at the moment, and it's not.
I'll tell you what did land for me. ICW.
Go for it.
This was absolutely brilliant. This was the best ICW show I've seen in weeks. And I really, really enjoyed it. We started off with Logan Smith versus Jimmy Pierce versus Levi versus Aaron Echo. This was pretty much just showing how strong and how ruthless Aaron Echo is. The other guys were flying high and doing well, but every time they got any kind of offense, Echo just battered them. He did a pump handle suplex on Logan Smith that just looked vicious. Then Levi pounced, knocked him out of the ring, and got the pin on Logan for the number 30 position in the Square Go tournament. So we know that Logan Smith rather, is going to be not the number 30 because Levi stole it, and Levi is going to be your number 30 entrant in the Square Go tournament, which is a 30-man tournament with 5 weapons in the ring as well.
Of course, because it's ICW.
Of course, because it's ICW. Speaking of which, we then had a Scheme Rules match, which is a no rules, the original ICW rules, as opposed to the current ones that were put in by Theodorus, which was Thatcher Wright versus Ravy Davey. Thatcher Wright, of course, came out with his cabinet. There was a great line from Ravy Davey. What I've got here is a boy with no socks, a boy with no hair, and a boy with no pubes. And it was very, very funny. It was meant to be a one-on-one match, but of course the cabinet, as I know you'll find hard to believe, interfered.
Well, they just didn't realise that that's what constitutes interfering.
Well, the thing is, technically they didn't interfere because it was a Scheme Rules match. There were no rules.
Exactly. Typical Tories. Always got to read the fine print with them, haven't you?
Speaking of which, Ravy Davey had a new shirt out, which is available for sale, which says Maggie, 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 died. To even the numbers, out came Krieger and Lou King Sharp. So we then had a 6-man no rules match with Krieger and Lou King Sharp and Ravy Davey versus Thatcher's Cabinet, who weren't dressed for the occasion. In fact, Ian Skinner was wearing his braces and at one point got caught in the ring and had his braces pinged on his poor nipples. I felt very sorry for him. It was great fun. It really, really was. Krieger and Ravy Davey went under the ring and brought out huge sledgehammers. And Lou King Sharp reached under the ring and got a tiny little hammer. And then another tiny little hammer. So at least he had 2. And they came into the ring and were about to murder everybody because they had bloody great big sledgehammers until there was a synchronized low blows from Thatcher's Cabinet. Ian Skinner managed to get Ravy Davey in the disarmer and then got a business card out his pocket and paper cut it in between the fingers. Yes, Ian Skinner, he may be technical, he may be the British psychopath, but he can be nasty too. Nasty. There was also a kendo stick too, and I quote directly from the commentary, the ham candle, a kendo stick to the gentleman's area from Ravy Davy to poor Ian Skinner. Thatcher's Cabinet then got hardcore. They brought in a ladder. They did indeed. But it got picked up by Luking Sharp, who then battered everybody with it. In the end, oh no, I did also want to mention Luking Sharp did the cactus clothesline to Charlie Vice, and then did the cactus elbow with a chair, which I quite liked because I'm a big Cactus Jack fan. In the end, though, Krieger hit a sidewalk slam on Ian Skinner for the 1-2-3. Jason Reed versus Saqib Ali, 50-50 match. I was surprised at that because I thought Jason Reed was a bigger name and possibly should have won this faster. In the end, Saqib was distracted when Chris Toll hit Coach Tripp with the microphone, and Jason Reed rolled him up for the win.
Simples.
Yeah. Then match of the night. I loved the hardcore with Thatcher's Cabinet. I thought that was great, my kind of thing. However, Lizzie Evo took on Molly Spartan. And these two girls knocked 7 shades out of each other again, like they did at the Discovery Wrestling show, or North Wrestling show.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. This was for a #1 contendership because Casey is, of course, off injured. So this was going to decide who was going to be the #1 contender. Really hard hitting, absolute standout moves. A one-arm side suplex by Molly Spartan. Brilliant move. Spears, strikes, super kicks. They started brawling on the outside. They brawled into the crowd and they didn't pay attention. There was a double count out. At which point Angel Hayes came out and said she will take them both on at Square Go. Our main event was then Luke Cairo versus TV's Jackie Polo. For those of you that may not know, TV's Jackie Polo is actually DCT, who is having some kind of breakdowns taken on the persona of Jackie Polo. So, yeah, this was all about Jackie Polo's cheating and dominating, and it was beautiful. Lots of sort of holds, hiding behind the referee, lazy pins. He was just your consummate heel. It was pure Ric Flair, to be honest with you, at his finest. Cairo did make a comeback and he went for the gyroscope, but he got reversed into the most beautiful fisherman suplex. Really, really nice. In the end, Cairo went for a slingshot spear through the ropes, but managed to DCT. Jackie Polo managed to hide a mallet behind the referee's back and clonked him on the back as he dived through the ropes for the pin. And this leads us to Square Go. There are going to be a few shows on before that, but Square Go is going to be on the 5th of March on the network. So it's going to be on nice and quick.
Excellent. Good to see. Progress Wrestling is on the network as well, minus one match, which you have to go on to the Progress on Demand.
Sorry, just quickly. Quickly. 4 sugars.
Sorry, I forgot to let you put your sugar in your tea. I think I need more sugar in my tea. Right, Progress Wrestling, which is also available on WWE Network, Chapter 128 Technique, minus one match, which is only available via Demand Progress. And that match in particular is Jonathan Gresham versus Chris Ridgway for the ROH Championship in a pure rules match. Luckily for us, I do have both, so I watched the whole show.
We missed an important bit of news.
What's that?
Chris Ridgway's broken his ankle.
Yes, Chris Ridgway has broken his ankle. He was out of today's show. Keenan replaced him on the Progress. We would like to wish Chris Ridgway a speedy recovery. One of the best wrestlers in the world right now, and he'll be surely missed whilst he is out.
I was crap at getting the news together today. I do apologise.
No problem. Anyway, Progress Wrestling, available on WWE and on Demand Progress. It kicked off with the Tag Team Championship match, Lycos Jim versus Smoking Aces. Of course, Kid Lycos and Kid Lycos 2 had stolen the belts last time at Progress 127, so they had possession of the championships. This was wild. It was chaotic. It didn't really technically start for about 15 minutes because they just wailed on each other from outside the ring. At one point, they tried to use the old dust trick on the Smoking Aces, but the Smoking Aces were wearing goggles.
I wonder if they borrowed them from Cameron Solis.
So no, not Cameron Solis style. It was pure big thick swimming goggles. Cameron Solis is a far more cooler. Steampunk. Anyway, the Aces and Kid Lycos Jim then finally started to wrestle properly. It was an incredible match. At one point, Nick Riley did a cannibal dive off the balcony onto
what kind of dive?
A cannonball dive. It was a tope cannonball, just jumping straight off the balcony into the Progress security team, and
they got a big security team, haven't they?
It was very, very, very large security team, and it was a phenomenal match, which Smoking Aces eventually came away with the win. Solid match, super great match, in fact. Big Guns Joe and Scott Oberman was a very good match. Big Guns Joe picked up the win. They were given probably just under 10 minutes. Good showing for Scott Oberman despite the loss. Big Guns Joe looked very good. Almost the senior guy now. I'm sure we'll probably see Oberman as part of the upcoming new Natural Progression series. Then we had Alexis Falcon versus Lana Austin after Lana Austin cost her Alexis Falcon her position in the Revelations of Love Divine Love tournament. Alexis Falcon picked up a huge win here. This was very, very hard hitting. Both battled very, very hard. Alexis Falcon got thrown heavy into all the chairs at one point by Lana Austin. Both girls put on a hell of a show. Great match. Spike Trivet versus Luke Jacobs then picked up had a no disqualification match. It was just a no disqualification match. Nothing.
Really?
Yeah, it was just. It was, as no DQ matches go, it was an average match.
Gosh.
I wouldn't say it really excited me that much. Eventually, Spike Ray picked up the win. After first, Luke Jacobs tried to make him swallow a bunch of lemon juice, and then tried to throw him into the drawing pins on the floor. Of course, this got reversed, and it was Luke Jacobs who got dropped onto the thumbtacks on the floor. And then Spike Trivet, who hadn't drunk the lemon juice yet, then spat it all over Luke Jacobs' back before locking in that new submission that he is using. So it was. I think both Spike Trivet and Luke Jacobs are capable of better matches when they are just under normal rules. Jonathan Gresham versus Chris Ridgway, which is only available on Demand Progress. Damn you, Demand Progress. You made it so I can't cancel my Demand Progress. Jonathan Gresham and Chris Ridgway had a pure rule. I didn't realize this was actually going to be contended under pure rules, but it was. They put on a great display of pure wrestling. Of course they did. They just absolutely tied each other in knots. They wrestled and wrestled and wrestled before eventually starting to open up with more strikes. Of course, Chris Ridgway absolutely laid Jonathan Gresham with big kicks, and Jonathan Gresham laid Chris Ridgway with big shots. It was a great match. It's Jonathan Gresham and Chris Ridgway in a Pure Rules wrestling match. Two of the best wrestlers in the world right now. Of course, it was a great match. Cara Noir then took on Dean Allmark in a very, very, very good match. Noir is just on another level, can just have so many different great matches, and this match was completely different to so many other matches. This match was completely different match to the match that they had previously. But in the end, it was Cara Noir who picked up the win. Then it came down to Riho versus Giselle Shaw. Brilliant. Excellent. Phenomenal. Giselle Shaw did. Giselle picked up the victory. Which Kanji then came out to say that Giselle Shaw isn't a true champion and it's her title and she'll be back for her title, and she's in the Thunder Bastard, which took place today, and I believe she won, so she will be taking on Giselle Shaw at some point in the near future. They've had so many great matches already. I'm sure it'll be another fantastic match. I would give this show 4 sugars.
Right, we now have the ringside report from UBW's WrestleMania 4 from our own Mr. Stephen Souden.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
We started off with a Square One title match with hometown boy from Peterborough, where this was airing from, Josh Spicer, versus the Square One champion, Adonis Payne. Brilliant heel work here from Adonis Payne, really working the crowd. Spicer was the hometown hero, but couldn't overcome Adonis Payne, who won and retained his championship. The tag team titles were then on the line as the heavyweight heartthrobs took on SAS Central. Stephen was of the opinion maybe it's time for the heartthrobs to drop the titles, but maybe they're waiting to build them up for Thunder Express to take the belts. All in all, a good match. I'm absolutely loving SAS Central. I think Sassy Bear Clarence is just awesome. He gave this one 3 sugars. Ronnie Knox then took on Vinnie Cray. He said this was a good match. Ronnie is someone that he hadn't seen before, really enjoyed. Frankie and Vinnie Cray picked up the win. Frankie Vegas and PVC versus Wrestling Memes and Artemis Red was on next. This was obviously a big thing because Wrestling Memes has gone heel and everybody is hating him. There was outside help from Adonis Payne for the win. This makes it look like quite possibly there will be a new group of Memes, Artemis Red and Adonis Payne. Memes got a big laugh in the middle of the match when he called PVC a second-rate AJ Styles, and everybody really got into that one. Jack Landers then took on Furio. Furio apparently scared a little girl in the audience so much it made her cry. But it's all right because Jack Landers beat him, so that's all good. And finally, we had the UBW title match, a 2 out of 3 falls between Truman Roswell, the challenger, and Spike Valentine, who'd been champion for 731 days. That's a long old time to be champion. Truman Roswell, of course, the former tag partner of Tommy Kyle. We do discuss him quite a bit in our Tommy Kyle interview. After months of building, Truman finally takes the belt from Spike. This is pretty awesome, really. Spike Valentine, I was struggling to follow the storyline with him. I know he was over with the existing crowd. Myself and Stephen are both fairly new fans. Very happy to see Truman Roswell win this. Spike got the first fall. Truman got the second with a count out by putting Spike through a table. And then in the third with a proper back and forth match and then a true pin. A new UBW British Heavyweight Champion in Truman Roswell. And he gives it overall 4 sugars for WrestleMania by UBW.
And that is the review by the Tribal Chief and the Big Fat Geeks, Mr. Stephen Souden, who was there with his whole family, son and father. Good on him. British Wrestling Revolution is available on BWR on demand. Will Cruz defeated Nathan Cruz after Gia Adams interfered. This brought Tonga out. This was then turned into a tag team match for later in the evening. Reese and Rogan defeated Team Hench, Powerhouse Blake and Big Guns Joe. Wrecking Ball Reese and Rogan bullied Big Joe for most of this match. Eventually, Powerhouse Blake came in and then pulled up injured. This then left Big Guns Show to deal with both Reese and Rogan by himself. Reese and Rogan beat poor Big Guns Show, but he was like, no, and he tried to bring Powerhouse Blake back in. But no, Powerhouse Blake had been faking his injury, and he turned on Big Guns Joe. This was very, very good. Ace Matthews then took on and defeated Jimmy McQuilly after some promos. It was Joseph Connors then came out, delivered a promo. He was interrupted by British veteran Dara Diablo. He's actually been wrestling a lot longer than a few years, maybe over Joseph Connors. They talked back and forth before Connors just beat him and decided to make a match, and Joseph Connors picked up the win in a solid beat down where Diablo got spurts. A fantastic match between Tom Farewell and Jet Marshall in a Youth in Revolt tournament semi-finals match. This was two fantastic young competitors putting on a great display of incredible athletic, fast-paced wrestling. Tom Farewell picked up the win. Big fan of Farewell. Jet Marshall looks good as well. Then it was Tonga versus and Will Cruz versus Gia Adams and Nathan Cruz after what happened earlier in the night. Tonga and Cruz were able to pick up the win in a very, very strong match. Tonga and Cruz looked very, very good. But Adams and Cruz and the other Cruz also looked very, very good. But it was Cruz and Tonga who won. Then it was RKJ versus Man Like Doris in an excellent match. Really, really strong match. One of the best Man Like Doris matches I've seen. RKJ did pick up the win. After the match, he called out Joseph Connors, and of course, they will be having that match at No Gods, No Monsters in just a short while. Overall, solid show. I would give this show 3.5.
Right then, that was a lot of reviews.
Yeah, we'll call this one the review show.
Right. Let's go on to shows that you can go and see this weekend and the week coming. We'll start off on Friday with one that I keep thinking, should I go to? Should I not? I'm not sure if I'm free or not, but it is.
I believe the Tribal Chief will be going to this show.
I'm
sure he told us, said he was going to this one. We'll have to find out.
This is, of course, Sacrifice Pro Wrestling versus Ultimate British Wrestling, UBW versus Sacrifice in Bedford at Bedford Football Club. Starting off with Jack Cave versus Sassy Bear Clarence. We will then have the team for Sacrifice Pro Wrestling of Kent Nelson, Roy Johnson, CJ Carter, Mia Cortez, and Kai Payne versus the UBW team of Adonis Payne, Ricky Calvert, David Grant, Percy Traynor, and the new UBW champion, Truman Roswell. Warren Banks is doing an open challenge. Los Palominos, Frankie Vegas and Danny Mayhem will be taking on Thunder Express, Jackson Hart and Leo Edwards. The 8-7, Roy Johnson and Alexander Roth will take on the Reckless Old Youths of Jack Cave and Tim Lee. Should be a fun show.
And Alexander Roth versus Hustle Malone versus Billy Gray versus Smashing Mike, and Cole Kingsley versus Charles Crowley.
I missed that one.
You missed those ones, you did. And Roy Johnson and Alexander Ross seem to be pulling double duty. During that, we always made sure it was Sacrifice Pro Wrestling guys first and UBW guys in the second. Okay, Saturday, 26th of February, Reach Wrestling are at the Guildhall in Plymouth. It is Brawl at the Guildhall. It is Eddie Ryan versus Jason King. LA Taylor versus Aurora Tevez versus Echo Reed versus Ruby, 4 incredibly talented young women. Big Country and Fox Kian will take on Grayson Reeves and Bullet. Nick Riley will be facing Harrison, man like Bino Bennett. Charlie Sterling will be taking on Joel Redmond. Lucian Phillips versus Lance Cole. And there will be an Academy Battle Royal. Solid card.
Charlie Sterling versus Joel Redmond match should be fantastic.
Indeed. And Nick Riley and Eddie Ryan, of course, on the card. Good. Big names.
Yeah. Speaking of big names, Raynham Championship Wrestling Alliance, the RCWA. Paul Robinson versus Kelly Six, 2 of the stalwarts of the English scene. MOS versus Tim Lee. Callie Gray versus Darcy Stone. Evan Lee United versus the Lads. CJ Carter versus Maverick Mayhew. And Ash Draven versus David Reckham.
Indeed, that is CJ Carter's first defense of the Elite One Championship. And the Evan Lee United versus Lads should be very, very entertaining. Future Wrestling, FUTR Wrestling, that is. They got the Fast and the Furious. That is Hustle Malone versus Xander Zulu. Kia versus the JOC versus Jack Knudsen versus Cardinal. Kyle Kingsley versus Benjamin Harlan. Brett Myers versus David Grant. And Rourke's versus Mark Sanders.
And then the match is and then the show that I am going to be at, Phenomenal Elite Wrestling's Brave New World in Stratford-upon-Avon. We have the Women's Championship match, Rio versus Lucia Lee versus TBC. Warren Banks versus Martin Kirby is going to be their kickoff match, and I am so looking forward to that. Big Guns Joe versus Jim Diehard. Dexter versus Sheikh El Sham. Danny Black versus Jason Joshua versus Just Joe Lando versus Hood. Not Hook. Hood. Laurie versus Mia Cortez and Alfie. And the Golden Ticket Rumble, where we will see 15 people in a Rumble match to win a chance to take on the champion at a time of their choosing.
Indeed, and of course, the Warren Banks, Big Guns Joe, Warren Banks, Mark Kirby, Big Guns Joe, Jim Dyer, Dexter versus Sheik El Sham are qualifying matches, which will end up in a triple threat for the men's championship.
Yes.
Body Slam Pro Wrestling in Denmark, Alice Inc. versus Vaughan Vertigo, Senza Volto versus Carlos Zamora, Jonathan Gresham versus Emeritus, Sunshine Machine versus Randers Pagne, and more all in action, and that is Scandi Foundation show in Denmark. Should be a great show.
On Sunday the 27th, ICW are having their Fight Club tapings in Glasgow. Confirmed so far are Rio versus Molly Spartan, Andy Wilde versus Sheik El Sham, BT Gunn versus Martin Kirby, and Daz Black versus Theodorus. That's got to be the biggest threat to Daz Black's Zero-G Championship so far.
Indeed. And then, of course, Rev Pro UK, Robbie X's return in St. Neots, plus Luke Jacobs versus Alex Coughlin. That should be an absolute fantastic match. That's one that I will certainly be looking forward to. And then you've got Modern Nomad Pro Wrestling on Tuesday. A couple of matches announced so far, but loads of incredible talent. And that's in Manchester at the Frog and Bucket. So make sure you check that out. They are also in Cardiff on Friday, but no matches have been announced.
Right, should we move on to a further roundup of British wrestling news?
Yeah, because there's still more news to go through. Soft Wrestling have announced that Simon Miller will be part of their first show on October 1st in Manchester.
Sovereign have been announcing a lot of people, so Simon Miller is a big announcement for them. Art of Combat have announced their final match for their debut show on the 5th of March 2022. It will be Man Like Derice versus Visage versus Tommy Kyle.
Should be an absolute entertaining match, I'll put that one. Pinfall Wrestling have announced Gauntlet Games for the 27th of March in Salford. 2 names have been confirmed for the Gauntlet Games so far, and that is CJ Carter and Cameron Solis.
Triumph Pro Wrestling will return on the 12th of March in Chafford 100. with Volume 3, Third Time Lucky, where Corey McRae will challenge Ashley Dunn for the Triumph Championships. This will be McRae's third attempt to win the Triumph Championship. Will it truly be third time lucky?
Indeed. Slam Masters Wrestling, they have announced the full lineup for We Better Get a Bigger Room. Didn't Progress do a show called that? Anyway, in Badoo.
No, we're going to need a bigger room.
Okay, yeah, semantics. In Badoo in Wales on the 6th of March, Joel Redmond versus Martin Grant, Mariah May versus Chantel Jordan, Elijah versus Man Like Doris, Mickey Fine versus Big D, Danny Duggan, Jez Gardner, and Alex Van versus Kurt Axlis, LD James, and James Ellis.
DOA Wrestling. Amira Blair will make her return to DOA on the 26th of March as she faces off with Lola LaRue in Peterborough at DOA's Danger Zone.
And the Superstar Pro Wrestling has announced the first matchup for their Slam Jam show on the 19th of March as Alexis Falcon takes on Rising Star Lucy Sky.
Our friends at Lancashire Wrestling Federation will return on the 12th of March with Slamaganza. The number one contender, Sonna Durson, will team with Reynaldo. The new LWF Women's Champion, Jenny B, will be there, as will the Lancashire Wrecking Crew, Dave Getsky and Chris Stone, and Nick Cutter.
Indeed, we were at their last show. It was absolutely fantastic. That Sonna Durson number one contenders match in particular. This should be a great show. Excellent atmosphere. Get yourself down to Lancashire Wrestling Federation, surely.
Fight Nation Wrestling, another show that I'm going to be going to, has announced that Alex Windsor will be taking on Chantel Jordan. Ooh, this will be a first time ever for Fight Nation. This will be at Strong on the 13th of March in Milton Keynes.
It's debuts for both girls, and I think it's the first time they've ever faced off in a singles competition.
Excellent. I'm glad I will be there for it.
Indeed. Catch Pro Wrestling, the next Monday night Catch Pro show has been announced for the 7th of March. 3 incredible matches have been announced so far, although one will be changed. It was originally going to be Chris Ridgway versus Dean Allmark, but as we said, hopefully Chris Ridgway recovers well from his injury, but probably certainly 9 times for this match. Brady Phillips will then be taking on Kevin Lloyd, Sexy Kev. This should be an absolutely fantastic match. I'm a big fan of both of these guys. Then you've got pure beef of Will Cruz and Powerhouse Blake versus the pure muscles of synergy, Troy Ryan and Anderson Daniels.
World Association of Wrestling, the WAW, have announced 2 huge matchups for their live show at the WAW Performance Center on the 2nd of April. Eric Young, yes, that Eric Young, versus Zach Zodiac, who's dropped a hell of a lot of weight recently and is looking fantastic. And PJ Knight versus Roy Knight.
Indeed. Let's kick off some news from across the pond over in Europe. Body Slam Pro Wrestling. Emersyn Jayne will be making her debut for the Danish-based promotion on the April 2nd, which I believe is their all-women's show. She will be appearing alongside Betty Rose and Regina Rosendahl. Body Slam, of course, they had to vacate the championship title with former champion Peter Oslander, needing time to focus on his health and family. Good luck to him.
Primetime Wrestling in Poland have announced that David Bradshaw and Santina Morella will be their English language commentary team for the Blackout show, which took place this Saturday just gone.
I want to hear that. I want to see the show. I really do. Joe Hendry's on the show as well, so I'm going to find a way to watch this because I want to hear David Bradshaw do commentary alongside Santino Morella.
It could be good fun.
WXW Germany, Dennis Cash Doolin and Peter Tihanyi have taken up the final 2 remaining spots in this year's WXW Germany after they won their individual box at Rude 216 Carat on the 19th of February. I'm surprised. These are 2 names that I did not pick to be part of the show. Maybe I should have. They are international talents. Dennis Cash Doolin from Sweden, Peter Tihanyi representing Hungary. I was expecting the German pair of Anil Marek and Norman Harris to go through. The show will be available, Road to 16 Carat will be available to watch next week in both Germany and English on WXW Now. I will be watching this because I really want to see Peter Tihanyi qualify, a guy I've been very, very high on over the last few weeks.
Passion Pro from Hungary have so far announced Senza Volta's return, Tenqua and Bent's Toth as part of the Passion 4 show on April 10th. Passion Pro Wrestling have also announced that their showcase match at the WXW 16 Carat Weekend is going to be Maverick and Tamas Sasbo versus the Gullius brothers.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Gullius's brother. I've only seen Olsik, who's absolutely amazing, the young bull of the village. I've never seen his brother. I look forward to seeing the Gullius brothers as a tag team. Should be absolutely fantastic. Passion Pro is usually available for free on YouTube with English commentary by Dave Bradshaw. And I've put on some great shows in the past, so I will probably try to go out of my way and watch this. I tell you what, we've got 2 huge shows to review next week and that are available right now on Powered 4 TV. So if you want to watch these shows along with us ahead of our review of these shows next week, you can do so by signing up to Powered 4 TV using the promotional code TPOD, TEAPOD. This will give you 1 month completely free use, and you'll be able to watch the 2 shows that we will be reviewing next week. Dan has actually already seen one of these shows. He was there live, so I will be watching it on here and giving my version of events, and then we'll be comparing it notes. That is FNW's Rise of the Kingdom show. Also available on Powered 4 TV right now is TNT Ignition show, Sky's the Limit. Which we will be watching. Of course, Dan gave the review of last week's edition, TNT Extremes DOA Dead or Alive, which is available on there right now, as well as the Wrestle Island Red Light, Green Light show, and Wrestling in Hinckley's Fear of Falling 2022. And you'll be able to watch all of these shows and more available on Powered 4 TV for free for 30 days if you sign up using the promotional code TPOD, TEAPOD. Dan, anything else?
No.
All right. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this show. And remember, folks, don't feed the trolls.